So the reason that we design is for user outcomes and for business outcomes. And design, one way of thinking about design is its intent, right? It's creating a plan around what do we intend to achieve. So you have to know, like if you're going to create a plan, you're going to create a design, you have to know what are the outcomes that we want to achieve. And a lot of times what happens is people get into a problem space and then they say, I'm going to make something cool in that problem space. But then you don't know if you solved a problem. And if you don't solve a problem with a design, then it's a bad design, even if it looks good. And so that's really what it's about, right? Is what are the outcomes that we're trying to achieve, and then how can we design to increase the likelihood of achieving those outcomes? So how do your teammates, your colleagues in other business functions, how do you work with them on this? Well, first of all, when I start talking to you about customer acquisition cost, CAC, customer lifetime value, CLTV, monthly active users, net retention, churn rates, things like this, initially you might just be a little overwhelmed. You're like, I went to art school, I know how to create some cool looking stuff, like, you're blowing my mind a little bit, right? It's okay. You don't have to be the expert on these things. You just have to know that they exist. And you have to know that if you do certain things in your design, you want to expect certain numbers to go up or down, right? Like if I work on my retention and goal achievement experience, then my customer lifetime value should go up because my churn went down. So who am I going to work with on that? I'm going to work with the product manager. Turns out product managers love to geek out on this stuff, and you can go find, and that's what I did when I was in cloud, is I found some product managers who were very interested in tracking this, and they did a lot of the work because it gives them success metrics that they can work from as well and understand when they're directing investment towards user experience, like understand how they're going to paint that success picture to their management. And then with things like customer acquisition costs, some of that could be in product, some of that is marketing. So you're going to go ask your marketing people for help. And it turns out often in marketing departments, there are a number of people who already look at things quantitatively. And so you're going to work with them and help bring in this concept of customer acquisition cost if they're not already familiar with it. And often they'll help you figure out how to measure that. And then once you know where the baseline is, you make design changes. You can test alternatives, which we call A/B testing. And you can test sample amounts of different alternatives. And then you work with your marketing partners and your product management partners to really see if you can move the needle on those things. And then that's where once you have that system set up and there's needles and signals that you can watch, that's where the fun begins, right? Because now you can make changes to a product experience and you can see what's happening. Like, oh wow, our customer acquisition cost just went down by 20% because we changed the content design and people know what they're getting now. Or, we used to have this cool visual design, but the flow through to goal achievement was kind of, we were dithering on that. And so we made some changes. We made it very clear how to accomplish that goal. And now our churn rates are down because people understand that they can accomplish that goal. Our product manager helped us to see that. Now everyone's asking, what can we invest in next in the user experience? That's a really exciting place to be as a designer, because basically you've just generated demand for what you already are really good at, and you've worked with your partners to create the context for generating that demand.